everybody, welcome! Today I'm going to show you how to paint a creamy peach tone framed card with homemade gouache. Last time we made onion skin ink. Today we are going to use this ink to make gouache and paint with it a lovely card. I will share with you how to mix the ingredients to make gouache, but also how to paint and decorate the frame on your paper with different leaves, twigs and stems. If you haven't seen the onion skin ink tutorial from last time, no problem. You can watch the tutorial on the Pigeon Letters blog, so no worries. I'm Adeline Julie from the Pigeon Letters design team and I hope you will enjoy it. So I can't wait to show you this. Let's go! Here are the supplies to make your gouache. Onion skin ink, gum arabic, a glass muller, talc, blanc de meudon or chalk, a jar of water, a painter's knife, spoons to measure, paper towel, shells or a lid, and a glass tray. Start by putting a teaspoon of talc in the middle of the tray and with the back of the spoon dig a small hole to be able to put the ink in it. Clean the spoon in the water and wipe it. It's better to clean your spoon before taking another spoon of chalk and putting it on top of the talc. Let me tell you a little trick. If you don't have chalk or blanc de meudon, you can crush some chalks and make your own chalk powder preparation. Once again, make a little hole with the back of the spoon. Take the same spoon and the onion skin ink and put 2 spoons of ink in the hole. To make gouache, you need color, which is given by onion skin ink. You also need a binder, like in watercolor, and that's gum arabic. And you need either white clay, chalk, and talc that are added to give the opaque side that you don't find in watercolor. Of course, this is a homemade recipe. I love the color. It's a very delicate creamy peach tone. Obviously, by adding talc and chalk, we make a gradient of the original color since we add white. This gives consistency to the formula. The ink was way too liquid. It had to be thickened with talc and chalk. Add a smaller spoon of gum arabic, which is the binder. Don't put too much of it, just a tiny spoon. Otherwise, the gouache will be too liquid. Mix all the ingredients with the painter's knife. Start mulling with your glass muller. Work the binder particles well into the pigments with figure-8 circles. The purpose of this action is to mix as well as possible and to make the particles of the different elements penetrate with each other. Because it's made with ink, it's much easier to melt and bind. Bring the mixture in the center of the tray, gather everything with your painter's knife, and repeat mulling. I'm adding a tiny spoon of chalk to thicken and not change too much the color. Okay, last binding process. Mix well with the glass muller. Now, if you like doing this process, feel free to repeat it as many times as you want. It's so soothing, almost like a meditation process. Collect your gouache in a lid or shells like I'm doing and let it dry. It can dry in 24 hours. To paint the card, you will need cold press watercolor paper, a pencil with a rubber, a ruler, scissors, acid-free sticker paper, your gouache made earlier, paint brushes from the pigeon letters, a jar of water, paper towel, draft paper. I will show you how to intensify the color of your gouache. For that, you will need a tiny container and a spoon to take the ink. If you need inspiration, here is the guide to nature drawing and watercolor, where you can find ideas and inspirations to paint different styles of leaves, but also flowers, and how to use your brushes to create brush strokes. Okay, now we are going to draw a rectangle in the middle of the paper. So first of all, draw a rectangle to make the frame. Measure 3 centimeters or 1.18 inches on each side of the paper from the border. To be sure to draw the straight line with the ruler, make 2 marks on each side and then draw the lines with the ruler. Now, place the sticker paper inside the inner rectangle just drawn. If needed, cut the edges with the scissors to be well straight on the corners. Cover the inside of the rectangle completely with the sticker paper. With your rubber, erase the pencil marks. We are going to test our color, and for that, take the filbert brush and the gouache. Dip the brush in the water and fill the brush with water and gouache. Try on the draft paper to see the consistency and the color. If you don't have enough water, dip the brush again. To have a slightly deeper or more intense hue, take your ink and take the spoon to put ink in the little jar I told you about. Instead of dipping in water, we are going to dip in pure ink. You see the difference? Of course, that makes sense. The color is more deep. Apply the filbert brush quite intuitively to make a round shape on the four corners of the rectangle, like if we paint eucalyptus or pilea leaves. The filbert brush has a natural round shape, which makes painting oval, round shapes very easy. The aim is to paint the round leaves on the sticker paper and one leaf above the first one on the very corner of your paper sheet. Repeat the same pattern on the four corners. Here I need to redip my brush in the ink and the gouache. Apply the brush number 10 with the color and paint very simple, slightly elongated foam leaves that look like bamboo leaves. Paint them on the four sides of your rectangle. Don't forget to vary the directions and vary the position on the rectangle. Some leaves will be near the border of your sheet, others will be close to the frame and not so long. Much like the brush we used before, this one also has a shape that will help us paint this leaf shape. Just put the tip of your brush near the border or the sticky paper and paint your leaf inwards by giving a simple pressure on the brush, which will open under pressure the sides of the fibrous brush. In this way, you can easily draw a bamboo leaf. Take the round brush number 2 and dip your brush in the ink and the gouache. Apply the brush on an area on the sheet where there is room and fill the frame. Be careful of the leaves you've just painted. Don't touch them with your hand, so feel free to turn your paper in order to paint easily. Once again, vary the place where you paint the leaves on the paper and the frame. Place some leaves on the edge of the sticky paper and others not. Here, what really helps us to give variations of scales are the size and the shapes of the brushes. This creates various combinations of scales, which is intensified by the fact that the surface you are painting on is quite thin. Not enough color, don't hesitate to redip in the ink and the gouache. See, here I'm shaping the leaves with the brush. I want to give a drop shape to the leaves. Take the liner brush 20 and dip in ink and load your brush with gouache. Where you can add stems, draw them. This means also to draw stems on the first round leaves. Paint a stem between the two round leaves, and it's as simple as that. You can vary thickness of the stems if you want and take the round brush number 30 and continue to add stems here and there. Also, you can double the stems on the round leaf if you want. You see, gradually we decrease the size of the brushes and we use more and more small brushes. So keep up with the round brush number 30 and let's start paint super tiny leaves with it. What I suggest is to give 3 brush strokes near one to another. You see where there is space and room on the sheet, give 3 brush strokes to make very small leaves. Repeat that in the gaps, but on the paper, not on the sticker paper. We started with the filbert brush, which is round, and we varied the brush sizes to get different proportions by making almost the same leaf shapes. Here, the brush being thin, I draw mini leaves just by applying my brush 3 times on my paper. Take the liner 20 and add stems. Choose one of the 3 super small leaves and draw a first stem, then connect the 2 other remaining leaves on this first stem. So you draw links between the leaves, if I may say. Don't hesitate. Draw a stem that goes from the leaf to the rectangle of the sticky paper and then you connect the remaining leaves to this first drawn stem. Okay, do that for every super tiny leaf. Be sure not to have too much gouache on your brush. It could cause stain. Here, I removed the excess on my draft sheet. Okay, now we are going to add twigs. So keep the liner 20-0 and draw thin twigs from the rectangle to the edge of the paper. Do that around the rectangle here and there. The gesture you make should be quick and trace the twig intuitively. Okay, now what we are going to do is touch up the composition and add leaves and stems. Take the round brush number 2 and add leaves to the border, and where you have room and feel, it's a good option. The important thing is that the edge of the rectangular frame is more or less covered to give the impression of the frame once the sticker paper is removed. Add a few leaves where there is blank space. You can also make leaves superimposed on other previously painted leaves. If you see white spaces on the frame, add some leaves too. Then we will also add some stems. To add stems, take the round brush number 30 and repeat previous already seen steps. If needed, add leaves and stems with the previous different brushes and vary the thickness of the leaves and fill your composition. This part is a combination of everything we've already seen. The only thing is that we work on balance and composition in an easy way. You don't have to add too much. I'm fine-tuning my composition and the balance of my frame. Okay, now that's the last step before removing the sticker paper. We are going to add bigger twigs. For that, take the wash brush and start tracing twigs. I recommend you use wash brush in its edge. You must keep it perpendicular to the sheet and quickly trace the twigs. Practice a little on the draft sheet, then get started. Start well from the area covered with a sticker paper. Do not give pressure once you make the gesture. Leave the brush on the edge. If you want, add a few very tiny twigs, then take the round brush number 30 and finish the composition. Okay, that's it. We have to let it dry before we remove the sticker paper. Always be careful not to tear the paper when you remove the sticker paper. You will have dried gouache powder. It is dry talc and chalk. That's why I use the sticky paper to dab and remove this powder. Look how beautiful it is. If needed, gently erase the pencil marks, if any. You can use this as a frame or write something in it or leave it like this. Once you've tried this tutorial, tag me at AdelineJulieB and the pigeon letters so we can share your paintings. I hope you enjoyed it. I was glad to share this process with you. Until next time, cheerio friends!